Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask Mortgage Mike, where I take topics and questions posed to me by you, the viewers, regarding the mortgage industry. I do my best to try to educate you on those topics. So today we're going to discuss sourcing funds for down payments, so for closing costs. Right, so you're going to buy a house, you're going to put money down, and I'm going to discuss to you about how we have to source those funds that are in the account, because it can be a pretty big hang up at the end, or a big source of frustration if you're moving money around. So think of it this way. Any money that is not in your account for 60 days prior to closing, I have to source. The only exception to that is any small deposits, generally $500 to $1,000 or less, and any direct deposits that go into the account. So if you plan on moving money from an IRA to a checking account, and you do that within 60 days, I'm going to see that on a bank statement that states that that money was just recently put into the account. So let's say you're going to use money from your checking account for down payment. You're going to move money from an IRA into that account, and you do that 10 days or 20 days or even 30 days before closing. Well, I'm going to see that on a statement. It's going to say money was transferred from this account. It's just going to give me the account number into your checking account. Well, I have to source those funds. Now, the reason why you have to source those funds is a little bill called the Patriot Act. Well, the Patriot Act, and the way that it regards to mortgages, means that we have to source the funds to make sure that you're not being funded by terrorists to buy a house. Yes, this is the law. This is what it's there for. So any money, if your parents are gifting you money for an anniversary or for a wedding, for getting married, that money has to be sourced. If it's not in the account 60 days prior to closing, we're going to have a gift letter from your parents. If you sold a car, we're going to have to see the bill of sale. If you plan on selling stock, and that's where that money comes from, we have to source those funds. The money cannot come from a line of credit. So I had a client in the past that took a credit card, got a 0% interest rate on a credit card. He took the money he was going to use to buy the house and paid off a credit card, and then return was going to use the $20,000 credit card that he had just gotten to do a cash advance and use that money for down payment. Now, his money was there on Friday. He just took that money and applied to a credit card. He then was going to use a new credit card to pay for the down payment. You cannot do that. Any down payment money that you use cannot come from an extended line of credit. So those are kind of some brief little synopsises on where you could run into sourcing your down payment. Just remember this. If the money is not in the 2 months bank statements that we need to have for closing, we're going to have to source every new deposit that goes into that account that's not a direct deposit or a small cash deposit. If you got $50 from grandma for your birthday, you can deposit that in the account as cash and it won't create too big of an issue. But anything else that's deposited as cash that's going to be a large amount, we're going to have to remove from the account if you cannot source it. Say you sold a car for $5,000 and you sold it to a buddy of yours and there's really no bill of sale, and you take that $5,000 deposit in the account, I won't be able to use the $5,000 that you have in there. I've had in the past where a client has had somebody that just owed them money in the past and they just finally paid up on that money. I can't use that as a source of income. So again, I know that probably creates more questions than it does answers, but I hope it shines some light as to the reason and the laws behind why we have to source the funds that are in the account. But again, as always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Again, Ask Mortgage Mike. I hope everyone has a great week.